What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Mafia Members Podcast. We are doing our playoff preview show, and we are pleased to introduce Mark from Marky Sports. We'll pull him up here. How's it going, Mark?
Good. How you guys doing?
I'm not too bad. Interested for this matchup and kind of getting everything started. What about you?
I can't wait. I'm pumped. I've been waiting for any playoff game for, it seems like, but it feels even longer than the 9 years. So I'm super excited, man. It's fun.
Alrighty, so we'll run our intro video here, and then we'll get started.
The Mafia Members Podcast.
So, like I said, welcome to the show. We're here with Mark from Marky Sports. Before we get too much into the matchup, though, it's rare that I get a hockey or someone else who also follows hockey. So I just wanted to touch on that quickly, being in Denver, obviously the Colorado Avalanche. I guess not really growing up because I'm much older than most NHL players. But seeing kind of Nathan MacKinnon grow up. He's kind of from the hometown of where lots of my family is, out in the East Coast, out in Halifax. Just seeing someone like that, you kind of get to see him more than I do, because it's rare that you guys come to Ottawa. So what's it like watching a guy like him or a Cale Makar? You know, they've obviously brought you guys a Stanley Cup, and kind of getting to see them play and perform night in and night out.
Yeah, man, it's amazing. You talk about just incredible talent. It's one of those things where it never ceases to amaze you what they can do. And Nate MacKinnon, watching him on TV is incredible, like the kind of speed that he has. But when you see it in person, when you're actually at the Ball Arena here in Colorado or wherever it is, it's truly amazing. You always feel like with those two guys, you're giving your team's got a really good chance to win. I think that we've kind of developed the back end of the third and the fourth lines on the team. So I'm really excited. We're starting to get a little hot now. So, but the West is crazy. The Western Conference and hockey right now is wildly competitive. So, yeah.
Well, you guys made that trade for what's his name, Blackwood, and that really seems to have turned it up for you guys.
Yeah, big time. Both of the Woods. We also acquired Sam Wedgwood. So we had Wedgwood and Blackwood. They've been Wedgwood got hurt, but I don't think it's too serious. But yeah, it was really, a huge shot in the arm that we needed. Our goaltending was awful, extremely inconsistent. So with a team that we have the ability to score, so we can cover it up sometimes. But it's nice to have some stability there. He's been pretty good.
Yeah. So you're liking your Stanley Cup chances this year, or? What do you think?
I am. Like I said, the West is being so tough. I'm interested to see what the team looks like once we get Nichushkin back, and hopefully we can get our captain back, Gabriel Landeskog, after it's been 2 years now since he's been hurt. So I think that'll be really telling. We'll probably need both of those guys to be really productive to have a chance. But like I said, I think when you have Cale Makar and Nate MacKinnon and Mikko Rantanen, you're always going to have you're going to like your chances for sure.
Yeah. McDavid or McKinnon, which one, who do you prefer?
Oh man, I get this quite a bit. Obviously I'm biased. I'm going to take Nate MacKinnon. Connor is definitely, I think he's a little bit younger, but I just feel like Connor McDavid is probably, which is crazy to think, he probably has more skill, but even though they're both unbelievably talented, but McKinnon has just a dog in him. He's got a different kind of mindset that I can really appreciate. So I'm definitely gonna have to go with my boy Nate.
Right on. And we got a comment here from D-Rock. It says, "Go Sharks."
Oh yeah, D-Rock's a Sharks fan. I didn't know that.
I didn't know they existed, to be honest.
Me neither. It's like the first time I ever met one.
Alrighty, so we'll get into the reason that we're all here. We'll talk some Denver Broncos football, and then we'll preview our matchup a little bit. So like you had mentioned, 2015 kind of feels like a really long time ago, I'm sure, for you guys. Bills fans know that feeling, obviously, with the 17-year playoff drought. So how has the season gone, and what is it? There's always ups and downs in a season, but when did you kind of feel like, okay, this is our time, and like we're making the playoffs?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the whole season for me was always about how is Bo Nix going to look? How is he going to develop? Is he going to be the franchise guy? More than anything, I didn't really start thinking about the playoffs probably until ironically, it was probably after the Kansas City loss the first time when they blocked the field goal, which was obviously gut-wrenching. But it really, once you kind of sat back and you're like, man, this team just suffered. They got blown out in Baltimore, and I love the way that they responded in that game to give themselves a chance to win in Kansas City. So I really started thinking this team could be good enough and special enough to finally get over that hump. So it was really around that time overall. But yeah, and then in the process, it was like we found our franchise quarterback, which is huge. I absolutely just loved it from the start and loved to kind of see what he's developed into. And then making the playoffs is just the cherry on top as well, just to be able to get that experience and move forward. So it's been a hell of a year. Yeah.
So how would you rate his Bo Nix's season overall? And then like, where do you, I'm sure again, there's bias involved, but like, where do you stand on the offensive rookie of the year? It kind of seems like it's a 2-horse race between him and Jaden Daniels, and kind of where do you stand on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, ranking his rookie season, I was thinking about this. I always try to answer these questions like with as little emotion and bias as possible. But I think anything less than an A would be crazy, because I thought about it the other day. I was like, what have I hoped to see from him that I haven't seen yet? And there really hasn't been anything. Like the consistency and all that, whatever, that's all going to come. But you've been able to see everything and more. He definitely surpassed the expectations. And then on the flip side, it's what haven't you seen that you're hoping to see from him? And it's like there hasn't really been anything. I feel like he's shown all the necessary tools, from the leadership, the charisma, the command of the offense, all that. So, I'm obviously super optimistic. Between him and Jaden Daniels, I really don't care too much about those awards. A part of me doesn't really want for Bo Nix to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't know. Sometimes I think it might just be unnecessary, like extra attention. But I would say giving it to either one of them they're super deserving. If Jaden won it, he would deserve it big time, especially with the way Washington's flipped their franchise around. He's been awesome. He's been so fun to watch. Huge fan of his also. So I think Jaden Daniels will probably win it, but I do believe that like let's say the Broncos win and the Commanders lose, I think that'll give the edge to Bo. Yeah. If they both lose, I think Jaden has the advantage. Obviously, vice versa. If we lose and the Commanders win, that'll certify it for Jaden. So this weekend could be a determining factor there.
Yeah, I think when it comes to those kinds of things as well, like kind of the same with Allen and Lamar in MVP conversations. It's really hard to change the narrative once it gets started. And, like the Hail Mary pass from Jaden Daniels at the beginning, the first, I think it was 5-6 weeks into the season, everyone's like, okay, he's got this award on, pretty well locked up already. Yeah. People are already giving him the award. So now you see a whole season of Bo Nix and you're like, well, technically, I think he probably deserves it, but did he do enough to change the public opinion?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what it boils down to. I mean, you look at their stats, they're like jarringly similar. You look at their team's performance and the team's turnaround, both super impressive. So there's not really anything that you can point to and say, oh, that's going to be what takes them over the top. So I think ultimately just, how does it, do you even know how it gets voted on? I'm not really sure how.
I don't know.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of.
I heard somewhere that like the public votes for it, but then I don't know if that's actually true. So
Yeah,
we'll
no,
see.
I have no idea. It's probably the Dan Orlovskis of the world that have a vote on it or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Like I said, for me, I mean, just having our quarterback, even in those kinds of conversations, is all that we can ever ask for. So whatever happens. I'm good with that.
What do you think? What do you think of how he's? Sean Payton kind of has like a pretty intense offense. He's good at the pre-ball motions and setting up play designs of. You think back to when he was with Drew Brees for all those years, and it's not like not anybody can just step in and perform well. So how do you think the relationship between Bo Nix and Sean Payton has kind of evolved as the season gone on?
Yeah, I think it's been amazing. It's one of the reasons why I was really wanting Bo Nix of the other quarterbacks, really aside from Jaden Daniels. I didn't really care for Caleb Williams, but the reason I was really a fan of it is because I felt like fit is everything. I mean, when you talk about drafting a quarterback and the kind of environment and the fit that he's in, I thought the Bo Nix and the Sean Payton fit was really good, just based off of like what Sean Payton wants from his quarterbacks, and then what you hear about Bo Nix being like very smart and has a very high football IQ. So I love that. And as you see it evolve, it was actually really ironic because typically with rookie quarterbacks, you kind of have them on a leash a little bit early, right? And then you kind of want to build it up, and then you see them progress, like you see them slowly improve to the point where they can, start making checks at the line of scrimmage. And that's usually a couple of years in. Ironically, when the first couple of games of the year, when Sean Payton was kind of, limiting Bo's freedom, I guess, in the offense, Bo didn't really play very good. And then it really opened up once he started giving Bo a little bit of freedom. So it was kind of like it was on the flip side. And I think now their relationship has evolved a lot. I think he has a really good understanding of, what Bo wants to do, what he's good at, and all that good stuff. So I think it's only going to continue because I think that there's a lack of talent around him in some areas, but it's been great. And then I don't know if you saw the game. I think it was versus the Raiders the first time. It was a huge headline story where they were like yelling back and forth at each other.
Yeah. I remember the headline. I didn't see the game, but I remember the headline.
Yeah, it was like a national story. And man, I loved that. And a lot of media outlets here talk about like Sean Payton was drooling. Like he loved that he kind of got that fire back. And that, he's been a different quarterback since that time. So I think their relationship is only going to go up from here, but it's been nice to see.
It reminded me of the Super Bowl last year with Travis Kelce getting in the face of Andy Reid there. And, sometimes as much as the coach has to, get the team fired up, sometimes I feel like the captains and the leaders of the team have to, kind of give a little bit of pushback on the coach if they feel like the coach isn't, kind of. So to see that coming from a rookie, I feel like that was a little bit wild.
Yeah. No,
but we definitely
nice. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say we definitely understand. Like the Bills, we struggled that first year of Josh Allen. Obviously, everyone was saying he's a bust and blah blah blah. So that year or two that it took for him to kind of fully develop into what he is now is it's crazy to see some of these quarterbacks like a Bo Nix or a Jaden Daniels or some of these younger quarterbacks who are able to do it so quickly, and it truly is changing around a franchise like just by who you drafted in the draft.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think kudos to Josh too, man, because after having a really rough rookie season like that could break a lot of rookie quarterbacks. You don't see them rebound from that very often. Obviously, you saw the talent right away. And we were really familiar with him here, him going to Wyoming, and a lot of Bronco fans wanted him. And so, we ended up passing up on him, but to see him improve is huge. But I think it always goes back to fit, man. Like the fit eventually just worked. Even last year, like switching to Joe Brady, right? You guys, the offense just made more sense. It was a lot better than
that's what I was going to say. Like when you think of now, it's hard to think of like a quarterback in the league who kind of personifies Buffalo better than Josh Allen. You know, he's like he's very chill. Seems like he's a laid back kind of funny, go with the flow kind of guy, but he also has that dog in him, that fight in him, and you know, he's out there all weather situations, you know, and he's battling and doesn't go down easy, and that's kind of the identity of the city.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I couldn't agree more, man. He's a stud in every way. He's awesome.
We're just happy we went with him and not the other Josh Rosen in the draft.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, thank God for that. That would have been that was supposed to be like a Hall of Fame quarterback class, but I think really two of them super panned out.
Baker seems to have found a spot now. Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of Baker being a little bit underrated, we'll get back to the Denver Broncos and. Someone throughout this season, maybe an underrated player on both sides of the ball, who's kind of obviously not the Patrick Surtains because those are the headline name guys, but who's kind of helped out your team get to where they're at. Yeah,
on the offensive side of the ball, the one that really pops out to me is Marvin Mims, somebody that I've been super high on. We obviously drafted him 2 years ago in the draft. This is his second season. We moved up to I think the last pick in the second round to get him. He was an elite punt and kick returner. He still is, but he really just took off, and it was second half of this part of the season offensively. He's been, the much needed juice kind of X factor on our offense for sure. And then defensively, it's got to be Nick Bonito. It's funny. We knew a lot about him locally. Like we knew the talent was ridiculous, but he still needed to get better in the run game to be a full-time player because he didn't even start the season as a full-time player. But he's grown to like a level I never even thought he could achieve. He's been amazing, man. He's been just a dog on the offense. Von Miller type talent, right? I'm not going to put him anywhere in the category of Von Miller yet, but he's got, that kind of pass rush ability. So it's
well, he was at one point leading the league in sacks. I think he's up there in tackles for loss. He's had the 2 interceptions, touchdowns, fumble. Like if you're looking for a guy to do, like, I'm surprised he's not in like defensive player of the year talks because he's not the sack leader, but there's other aspects to winning the defensive player of the year, and he's up there in the majority of defensive stats.
Yeah. There was a little bit of chatter I heard. I know Pat Surtain is in the conversation. It might have to just do with the fact that like he was a part-time player early in the year, which I think is actually more of a kudos. But I was really happy to see him at least get the Pro Bowl nod, even though I think Pro Bowl voting is like BS. It was nice to see like that's a good way for these players to get recognized, I think, nationally. Like they're like, oh, he made a Pro Bowl. Maybe they pay more attention to him. But he's been a stud. He's been awesome.
It's almost like the MVP is just a quarterback award. The defensive player of the year is almost just becoming the sack leader award.
Yeah.
And I wish there was a guy like a Patrick Surtain or a Nick Bonito who, you feel like it doesn't matter if Saquon rushes for 2,000 yards, he's not going to win the MVP no matter what happens. Or, it doesn't matter how well Nick Bonito plays, he's not going to win that award. And I'd like to see some of these other guys who are just out here balling out week in, week out actually get some recognition for it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. I mean, there's just so much politics that go into the awards, right? Which is really why I try to not even pay that much attention to it. Because like at the end of the day, there's one award that matters. Like even if Josh Allen wins the MVP, which he's extremely worthy of it this year, he definitely should win it. If he doesn't win it, but he wins the Super Bowl, I don't think Bill Smith's going to care.
Who cares? Exactly.
No one's going to care. They only are going to know you as Super Bowl champion. You could be a 5-time NFL MVP. Like Lamar Jackson's won all these MVPs already. It doesn't really matter. I don't think he cares either. So
yeah. All righty. So here we are at the matchup Sunday. So obviously coming into Buffalo, I guess it's not as much of a home field advantage. You guys obviously play in cold weather, and it's not like we're hosting Miami or something like that.
Yeah.
but it's still going to be a tough atmosphere to play in, a hostile environment. The Bills Mafia gets loud for sure. So how do you help a rookie quarterback, or what do you think kind of some of the things Sean Payton will do to help out Bo Nix kind of prepare for the game, and then also adjustments in the game?
Yeah, no, it's one of the toughest places to play, man. Until last year, where we like somehow got a win against you guys, I do not remember the last time in my life I ever like, even when the year we won the Super Bowl, we lost in Buffalo to like Tyrod Taylor, and the Bills. I don't think the Bills were even that good that year, and we ended up losing, and that was like in September. But in terms of the game itself, I'm always interested, because I feel like Sean Payton is gonna be a little bit more aggressive. Just based off of what I've seen, because I feel like when we spread the ball out and he gives a little bit of the freedom to Bo, and he allows for him to be comfortable, I think that that's when Bo Nix has shown that he can be the most effective. So that wouldn't surprise me, but it also wouldn't surprise me if we came out and started the game, especially at the start, like pretty conservative, just to kind of read the vibe, because it's been so different in every game, over the last month or so. So I think that he's going to kind of feel it out. He wants to give Bo confidence. He's probably going to get a lot of, early throws, early completions, just to get into a rhythm. The last thing that he's going to want, that really the Broncos can afford, is 3 and outs, especially early. We're like one of the league leaders in 3 and outs. Not a good league leading stat. So if we can avoid that, especially in this game, that'll be super helpful. And then really, as the game goes on, Sean Payton's always done a really good job adjusting during the game. His management, like clock management and stuff, has been pretty bad this year, but he's typically done a pretty good job of being able to adjust. So I think, really depending on how the game goes and the flow, they'll be able to make their adjustments. But we'll see. There's so many nuances to just this offense and this team. Still, there's still a lot of unknowns. So
yeah, it's that, and I feel like that's kind of where the home field advantage can come into play if you are trying to make adjustments, and Bo Nix is out there trying to read the defense, but the crowd noise is really going to be getting to him, and I feel like that's kind of going to be where as a fan watching, you're like, okay, we're actually impacting the game here a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. And it'll definitely be, especially when you got a rookie quarterback, right? It's going to make it significantly harder. I mean, there's already the pressure of it being the first playoff game, so being in that atmosphere. But I'm just really excited to see how he and the team respond, right? I mean, even if we lose, which I'll save the prediction at the end. But even if we end up losing, but I feel like this team played well. It didn't look like the stage was too big for them. Overall, I'd be really happy with the performance. But
that's what I was saying.
A lot about him.
That's what I was saying. Like preseason, after, before the preseason, but once we lost Diggs and Davis and our center, and it seemed like everybody was walking out on us, I was like, okay, like even you can define a successful season in a bunch of ways. And, we just drafted Keon Coleman. I said, even if the only good thing that we had was getting Keon Coleman and Josh Allen on the same page, and we were able to develop Cole Bishop at safety into a full-time NFL starting safety, like that could be a successful season for us too, even if we don't make the playoffs. So even just getting the experience, I feel like you guys are already, a few steps ahead of where you would have wanted to be kind of going into the season. Yeah,
no, big time. I mean, I think getting, checking the box, putting a check mark in the box of like franchise quarterback, that was enough for me. We could win 3 games. Didn't matter. But then to be able to do that and also get the playoffs, I feel like, we're, that kind of took 2, we're kind of ahead by a year or 2, which is, I'd say even 2 years. So for sure. But I mean, I'll tell you guys on your end, I was talking to my buddy who's a huge Bills fan about this. When Stephon Diggs left the Bills, I told him that's probably the best thing that could happen to this team. Because you can finally develop an offense that's balanced, that actually has a really solid run game when needed, and put it all around Josh Allen without having him worry about somebody crying in his ear because he's not getting the ball. So it's worked out pretty well for you guys on that front.
Yeah, we're the first team to have 30 passing and 30 rushing touchdowns in a season. So if you want to talk about a balanced attack, I feel like that's
As balanced as it gets.
that's as balanced as it gets. Speaking of balance, what do you think your offense has to do in order to be successful? Like, are you guys attacking deep shots downfield? I know that's kind of not really your style. You're kind of more of the screen and wide receiver, running back screen plays, or what do you guys have to do to be successful against Buffalo?
Yeah, it's going to be, a lot of the typical cliche answers, right? I think normally you would say it's going to be crucial for us to establish the run game, control the clock, control the time of possession. But 17 games into the season, we're not really good at that. We're not consistent enough running the ball. So, I think for me, when I look at it, it's going to have to revolve around, avoiding as many of those 3 and outs as possible. Obviously, avoiding the turnovers. You lose the turnover battle of the Bills, you're losing the game, period. So it's going to be a lot of that. And then just being as efficient as we possibly can. Just like I said, we use a lot of those, wide receiver screens, or just the regular screens in general, short passes, those things to kind of be an extension of the run game. So they'll be helpful. But yeah, I think that's going to be crucial. Being efficient on third downs is super important. Something that we were really bad at early, and we got way better as the season progressed. And then you can't kick field goals, right, against this team in the red zone. So the opportunities that we have to score, you've got to get touchdowns. Field goals aren't gonna be enough against the Bills. So that's I'd say those are my biggest keys. But if I had to choose one of them, I'd say just avoid the turnovers, the deadly mistakes. Punting the ball and relying on your defense is, you might be okay with that.
Yeah. And so then on the flip side, what is your defense has to do well? Obviously, Josh Allen is kind of he's a beast of his own to try and handle. And we saw when it's now known as the 13-second game. If you try and keep him in the pocket and just kind of not really attack him too much, he can stand in the pocket and throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. So kind of how do you see what your defense does well, and how does it how do you kind of do that against a Josh Allen?
Yeah, it's a hell of a task. There's no stopping Josh, right? It's just like slowing him down as much as you can. Our bread and butter defensively is the pass rush. We have a relentless pass rush. It's very, very good, but it's going to be extremely important against Josh to get a really good pass rush, like collapse the pocket, but don't let him just take off, because he'll take off and then 3rd and 11 is no problem. He's going to take off running. So if there's a way that we can force pressure, but still be able to keep him in the pocket to kind of, rush his timing a little bit and force him to take some of those shots, those 50-50 balls, squeezing it in between some tight guys to get some turnovers. That's what I think is going to give us the best shot. And I think it's going to have to start with our pass rush, because even though our secondary, I feel like is really good too, you can't cover all day long. And especially because with Josh Allen, there's the play, and then there's a second play, right, when he's improvising. So It's just, it's too much of a task to ask your guys to cover, that much the whole time. So doing what we can, man, to just rush Josh. I think the main key in this game is the turnover battle. If it's even, I think the Bills have a huge advantage. I think the Broncos have a chance if they are able to force at least a couple of very crucial turnovers. The only ways that I can see that is if, we're forcing fumbles or getting picks, and I think all that starts with the pass rush. So
yeah. And on that thing, like watching every single game of Josh Allen's career so far, rushing, just pinning your ears back and rushing him is, he'll just run straight up right up the middle of the pocket. Or if you collapse too much, he can scramble outside and get. So you need to have like a smarter pass rush and that kind of like that lane integrity to, like you said, you're not rushing him, you're rushing his thought process and his processing, because that's kind of where he will be forced to make a mistake here or there, or we always see him. Bills fans know, like even from the first playoff game where he was in Houston, and when he's scrambling around and then he just pitches the ball out to someone who's not expecting it, or he always has something going on in his head that he tries to make an extra play. And I think those are the kinds of things that you got to try and capitalize on.
Yeah. No, he's a dog, man. I truly do love watching the guy play. But I mean, you're absolutely right. It's kind of like a shadow rush, right? It's like a borderline spy. You don't want to, because if you know, if you're overly aggressive and you don't get him, and he's a hard dude to bring down, you're screwed at that point. So it's a tall task, man. So I think we'll see.
Yeah, right on. Okay, so time to get to the game prediction. How do you think this game will play out, and a score prediction, if you could?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a super entertaining game for sure overall. I really do. I think that it's gonna be fun to watch. Broncos getting off to a fast start is going to be a major key for sure if they want to have any chance. But ultimately, I think it's just going to come down to which quarterback's going to avoid the costly mistakes, which quarterback's going to make the most plays. And for that reason, you got to give the edge to the Bills. So I do have the Bills winning. The prediction that I have is 29-23. I do think that we cover the 8.5 or 9 points. I think that's a little bit too much. But yeah, I can just foresee it being one of those where we're going into the fourth. It's a one possession game, one way or the other. And so and then we'll see what happens from there. But I think it's gonna be a really fun game to watch. That's really all I'm hoping for.
Yeah,
well, I mean, aside from a win, I wanted to. It's one of those few. It's one of those few like moments where and you probably know it. Like losing a heartbreaking game where it's really close. You're just like, dude, I wish we just got our ass kicked.
Yes,
I wish we just got blown out. It'd been so much easier. Yeah. This is the one time where I feel like, no, I'm okay losing a really close game because of what it means for the team in the future.
Yeah.
But rather you don't want to just go there and get blown out.
Yeah. No, that was like us when we finally when Josh Allen made it to the playoffs after his rookie year against Houston. I was kind of like, hey, we're just here. We're just happy to be here. Kind of our season goals have already been met, if not exceeded. Mm-hmm. So just give me an entertaining game. And hopefully we just use this as a learning curve and a growth experience for everybody on the team. But for me, I think like I think kind of the same. I think it's going to be like our defense is kind of really bad at stopping the run. We do like if you dive like into all the EPAs and the DVO, like I don't even know what any of those things mean, but like I just know everybody runs for 100 yards against us every game. So you know what I mean? Like I feel like if we were to lose, that's how it's going to be. It's going to be the screen plays and those extended run plays are going to be burning us. But I would tend to agree with you that I think overall doesn't really, not that it doesn't really matter, but in a game like this, whatever your team is going to score, Josh Allen is going to find a way to, score with that one more field goal or get his team into field goal position or score that one more touchdown kind of thing. That's just kind of how the season has been going for us. Yeah. So that's kind of how I see it. It's going to be tight. It's going to be exciting. There was watching when you guys beat Kansas City the last game of the season, and it was kind of confirmed that we were going to play Denver. There was kind of like a sigh of relief in we're like, oh yes, we get Denver, and then you start looking into it a little bit, and you're like, oh no, like these guys are actually. Like we can't be taking them too lightly,
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think a lot of that times too, like when you don't really know too much about the team, like I flip it back to when, the Bills getting rid of Diggs, and then you have a lot of receivers, but you don't really have like a true number one, but you got a lot of good ones. It makes it tough for like a team to cover it, right? And so when you don't really know a lot about a team, same thing with the Chargers. When you don't really know, it's like, you don't really know what to expect. And then when you start to dive into it is kind of when you when you realize that a team might be good. And we're definitely a very young team. You can tell, we have a lot of our inconsistencies, but man, we fight really hard. So I think you'll definitely be able to see that and appreciate it. And but it'll be fun. I'm sure you guys are happy to not have to play like Burrow and Chase and T Higgins too. I mean,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
That would have been one of those where I think the NFL wanted it. Bengals fans were like all up in my mentions all the time. Like I did something wrong, right? And even though it probably would have been a really entertaining game, I think in a way, like it's a better matchup it's probably an easier game for the Bills because you guys would have just torched their defense. I mean,
it
would have been like a 55-50 game. It would have back and forth. So yeah, no, it's fun. What were you? I'm curious. What were your thoughts on? Did you get a chance to see Von Miller's comments when he's talking about the Broncos?
He's making it be a full circle moment.
Yeah. Did you have any thoughts about that, or is there any like?
I mean, I don't like. In general, I don't really like giving another team motivation. I don't like the whole bulletin board material kind of talk. I feel like that's like he should have said those comments to the team kind of, in the practice week, not to the media. But also I think it is a cool moment for him. Denver's obviously where he won Super Bowl MVP and, had all that great success. And we just hope that we see even a shadow of what he was in Denver here in Buffalo.
Yeah, right. No, he was amazing. He's had a much better season this year though. Coming off ACL, like a second year. But it was funny because when I saw it, I love Vaughn. Obviously, I was gonna love Vaughn as a Bronco fan, but it was like a part of me was like, is this guy is he gonna be wearing a Bronco jersey underneath his Bills jersey? So I just didn't know if maybe Bills Mafia had a thought on that. But
no, to be honest, I was I didn't see the full quote. I just saw him say that it's going to be a full circle moment, and
you got to check it out. It's like and it might like, I don't know, maybe you'll have an opinion on it, like a different one after that. But it was like a 2 to 3 minutes of just him kind of just like reminiscing and talking about how much he loves Denver and loves the Broncos and loves these guys. And it was interesting. I thought it was cool. I probably wouldn't have like thought anything of it had a bunch of people not started talking about it. I'd have been like, oh, cool, that's Vaughn. I love Vaughn. But then I was like, man, if that was if Vaughn was on my team or if that happened with my team, I was like, would I really care? I probably wouldn't, but it would be pretty interesting to get the perspective of someone else.
Yeah, no, like when it comes to those things, I don't really. I feel like everything that players do for the media is all like a staged kind of thing. So I never really buy too much into it. Only when they kind of seem to kind of, like go off the rails and kind of go off script, and you see kind of, someone start, like when Shannon Sharp actually, when he was in Denver, used to do it all the time. Remember when he was like, would I stop and give him water? No. Is he a friend of mine? No. Like those kinds of things, those are the ones that I believe that the athlete is kind of saying what's on his mind.
Yeah.
If you had to give an X factor for the game, who would it be from the Denver Broncos? Who has to kind of stand out in order for you guys to get the win?
Oh man, that's such a good question. Because I feel like there's just a lot. There's so many different ones. I mean, I'm going to bring it back to, I'm going to say Marvin Mims again. And the reason is not just because of what he can do for us offensively in terms of like, he can help us in the pass game, but he can really get the run game going. But mainly I'm choosing him because of, special teams could really be the deciding factor in this game too, right? Something that, special teams is not really talked about. So his punt return and kick return ability is very elite as well. So if he's able to provide us some sort of a spark there, those would be the X factor moments. So I would have to stick with my man Marvin.
I think just going up against Sean Payton, we're all in Bills land. We're all happy with the new kickoff rules, so he cannot be surprising us with an onside kick to start the second half, or something crazy like that. But I think that. I think for the Bills, an X factor is going to be I'll say a Teron Johnson or Terrell Bernard, kind of one of those guys who's going to be needing to play sideline to sideline and kind of be the guy who breaks up the screen so that someone else can come in and make a tackle, or kind of like you said, if Mims is going to be your X factor, our X factor needs to kind of stop that X factor. And I think those are kind of our two guys that would be doing that.
Yeah. How was you guys the secondary overall? Like, I know, I mean, I see a lot of the stats. I know Tre'Davious White got hurt. How are the corners overall?
They're good. They're good. Christian Benford is like, if you were to ask me who the most underrated Bills player is, it's Christian Benford, our corner. He plays like at an all-pro level. He's one of the best at, not allowing separation. He doesn't get the love and the attention that he needs. Teron Johnson is last year was an all-pro slot corner. The big thing for us defensively is that we're healthy. Our injury report came out today, and it was everybody was a full practice.
Yeah.
And last year when we played Kansas City, we had AJ Klein got a phone call on his couch on Thursday and played in a game Sunday, and it's just a different feel. If we have a weakness, it's our pass rush, and our interior defensive lineman, Ed Oliver, has kind of not really played all that well this year compared to what he did last year. And we have the rookie Cole Bishop is going to be kind of filling in for DeMar Hamlin here and there. Our safety play is not great, but our corners with Truel Douglas and Christian Benford are good, and our linebackers are really good. And we kind of just in a Sean McDermott defense, that's kind of really all you need is you just play that shell defense and take let everything underneath happen, and we are the definition of a bend but don't break defense.
You guys give up quite a bit of yards, but your points is low.
Yeah,
which is good.
And even if that we'll give up, we'll give you 10 field goals in a game. So you're going to score. You might score a lot of points, but it's all going to be field goals. And while we're go down and try and score a touchdown.
Yeah.
I think you got a lot of your fans coming into the comments here.
Oh yeah, nice.
Bills suck. Buffalo suck. It's cold and stupid.
Oh man, he's being rude. I know him. That's a good one.
Josh Allen is going to crumble.
Come on, man. How are you going to take over a Mafia
Dean
podcast?
Nix is going to go into Buffalo to get the win.
Hot take. That's funny. That's a hot take right there. We'll see.
So you definitely had the Broncos fans come into the comment section here. But before we close out, go ahead, shout out your social media, whatever you got going on. If you got any, where people can find you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you can find me obviously here on YouTube at Marky Sports Denver is the handle. On Twitter, it's Marky_sports. That's usually where you'll find me. Just Twitter, I'm usually just doing all the crazy stuff and sometimes trying to stir the pot and have a little bit more fun. But YouTube is where I'll talk a lot of my Denver sports. So if you love Denver sports, just sports in general, I cover the Broncos, the Avalanche, the Nuggets on my channel. So that's where you can find me. But thanks again, man, for this opportunity. This was awesome. It's my first time ever getting on a podcast for the opposition, and it's an honor that it's Bills Mafia because I really do love the Bills. I love their fan base. I know a lot of guys, and I always tell everybody if the Broncos aren't in the playoffs and the Bills are, I'm rooting for them 100% of the time. So right on. I finally got some support here. Bills Eagles in the Super Bowl. Thank you very much, Hertz. I want a Bills Lions. Honestly, like I would if it's not the Broncos, a Bills Lions Super Bowl. I feel like would be a Super Bowl for the people. I would love that. Yeah, 100%. Or Bills Minnesota for that kind of for that same kind of thing. But yeah, man, awesome. As a Canadian, the only person really I there's two people in the NBA I follow. One is Jamal Murray and one is SGA. And so yeah, there's another Denver connection. Some Canada connections.
So thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been great. At the beginning of December, I just had my second kid, so I haven't been. This is actually my first time hosting like my own show. I kind of did a couple guest spots here and there when I found some time, but this is my first time back in a little while, and it's great. I'm looking forward to a great game on Sunday. Yeah, likewise, man, and congrats on the kid, and hopefully you find some time to relax a little bit. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it very much, and we'll catch up, win, lose, or draw on Sunday. Sounds good. All right, man. We'll see you. All right, take it easy. Yeah, bye.